Is Larry King the new king? Larry Fink, the new king of Bitcoin, as BlackRock is absolutely dominating the ETF flows. Also, we have numbers coming in from Robinhood. How popular is the ETF actually? Gary Gensler gets into a spat on CNBC with apparently our new hero of Bitcoin, one of the anchors. We're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to look at the charts. Bitcoin is absolutely pumping. Is it going to get to 52K by the end of the show? You're going to want to stay tuned. We have some Ethereum news. Also, a massive, big TradFi company has just applied for an Ethereum spot ETF. Who is it and what does it mean? On today's episode of Sensitive Crypto, let's get into it.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and stale information and repackage it up in a fun, sexy way. 51.5 Bitcoin. Highs we haven't seen in over 2 years. Not slowing down. We pulled back to 49. We ain't hanging out there. Off we go.
Harp said, you've been nailing calls. What calls? What calls has he been nailing? I'm just curious. Speaking of nailing calls, one guy who actually does nail calls and is a friend of our channel, it's not Friday, but it's never a bad day to have this man on. It's Forrest joining us, Forrest. How you doing, bro?
Yo, what's up? Thanks for having me on, guys.
Forrest, pleasure's all
Always a
ours, my
pleasure.
friend. We appreciate you joining us. Lots to talk about today. This was me last night, guys, and tell me who feels me here. Bitcoin, please, I'm trying to work. Check me. And well, I kept checking and refreshing, and portfolio number, you keep going up, and that coin, if I say the name, then we'll get demonetized. That coin, Forrest, the one that's up to like $3.30, that thing is on fire. But the ETFs are on fire. We have this Robinhood CFO sees nice interest in Bitcoin ETFs. Note that they account for 5% of overall crypto trading activities. This is a very obviously retail-driven platform that is Robinhood. So 5% of all the crypto trades are into the ETF. Here is a look at the flows of the ETF going back to when it first launched on January 11th. And on the very far left here, you see Blackrock, their IBIT. So on the 12th of February, so 2 days ago, $374 million in inflows. We had our second largest day. Well, technically third largest day. Second, if you take the very first day out, but almost $500 million flowed into the ETF, with Grayscale only coming in at a net negative of 95 million outflows. We did have news that Genesis has gotten approval to sell $1.3 billion worth of the GBTC shares. We'll see what they do with that. Are they going to convert it? Are they going to take the cash and run? Are they going to pay the taxes? Or are they going to leave it in there? Who knows? And then we have this. IBIT volume is off the charts this morning. Just tweeted from earlier today from Hodl 15 Capital. You can see here, massive green candle on the IBIT on the 15-minute chart. We have this from Dylan LeClaire. A look at Coinbase's Bitcoin 1-hour volume bar tells it all. Amidst equity market weakness and the highest VIX spike since October, Bitcoin bidding into the U.S. 4 p.m. close is very telling. I'll stop there for a quick second. You got any insight on this, Robin? What are your thoughts?
BlackRock crossed $5 billion in the spot Bitcoin ETF that they're holding, right? $5 billion. Remember, we were talking about if there was $1 billion brought into the ETF, it would be a success. Prior to it launching, let's just say like a few months before, there's some ETF analysts, people on Wall Street saying, hey, if they can garner $1 billion in the first 24 hours, that's a massive success. We're 3 weeks in, BlackRock has $5 billion. And they're not in some resounding ungodly lead here either. Fidelity is not far behind. ARK Invest has over $1 billion as well. And so
You have 3 ETFs that are over $1 billion. 3 of them over $1 billion. That is not the only thing that's skyrocketing. We have the hash rate also hitting all-time highs. But Forrest, Larry Fink, is BlackRock in the next, shall I say, few short weeks gonna be the #1 holder of Bitcoin when it comes to wallets? The amount of Bitcoin?
Uh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. The inflows are looking great. 500 million plus per day. I think yesterday was not even included in the chart that you showed, and it
Yep.
was like I think a new high. So it was like 600 million. So it's accelerating. Yeah, it's like a lot of people. You know, I've got no reason to short markets here. I've got no reason to sell. I think this is, if anything, a point where we very likely see acceleration to the upside. Of course, that's not a guarantee by any means. There's always risk in any market. We had a weird CPI print the other day. Markets don't seem to mind that, but yeah, I mean, BlackRock is I say BlackRock's accumulating, like the people who they're technically Coinbase custodies it, and it's like BlackRock customers that are accumulated. But either way, the inflows are just stupidly bullish. We'll see if they continue to accelerate or taper or hold steady. But if they hold steady over a few hundred million a day for any reasonable amount of time, there's no reason we shouldn't see much higher Bitcoin prices. And much higher Bitcoin prices means much higher altcoin prices.
You did mention, so here I have an updated one. So this is from yesterday's up
Yeah,
here,
there
like
we
you
go.
mentioned, Forrest. Almost $500 million just from BlackRock. We saw a net of $631 million flow into BTC. Then you have the fact that we showed in the earlier tweet or the earlier post that the 1 hour volume on Coinbase at that 4 o'clock stock market close, that volume shoots up. And so this is something that we've been talking about, something that Rob's been talking about as far as, hey, Coinbase is more than likely dipping into their order books to satisfy all the Bitcoin that these ETFs are buying. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to see what is this going to look like when the halving goes live. Can you imagine? I mean, technically, the halving by itself is not good for the miners. Your revenue is essentially getting cut in half when it comes to the block reward. But if all the price has to do is double, right? And we know the miners were in the green at 22, 24, 25K, 50K. Even if the halving happened today, the miners would still be profitable. At least they wouldn't leave any money on the table. And then we have this from Michael Saylor, who was on CNBC, and he talked about there's 10 years of pent-up demand on BTC.
Your outlook for Bitcoin, and then we'll jump into earnings.
I think a lot of this is just indicative of the popularity of Bitcoin as an asset class. It's now the world's most popular investment asset. It's novel, it's digital, it's global, it's unique, and it's uncorrelated to traditional risk assets because it doesn't come with exposure to any given country, currency, company, quarterly result, product cycle, competitor, not to weather, not to war, not to an employee base or supply chain. And so that makes it a natural addition to the portfolio of a responsible investor. There's 10 years of pent-up demand. People have been waiting for these ETFs, and finally, mainstream investors are able to access Bitcoin. And I think that's what's driving the surge of capital in the asset class. And initially, there was a rebalancing as people were moving capital between the futures market and the miners and MicroStrategy and the ETFs. But following that rebalancing, I think the assets found its footing. And now people are beginning to realize that there's 10 times as much demand for Bitcoin coming in through these ETFs as there is supply coming from the natural sellers who are the miners.
Yeah, and of course we're gonna get
Anything that he hit on there for us that you kind of want to maybe expand on or push back on?
I mean, look, Michael Saylor is always going to be bullish Bitcoin, and look, I love it. I think that, it's great for all of our bags. There are a couple things that we could break down into, but they're little minor nitpicks. Of course, he's going to always be super bullish on Bitcoin. I'm super bullish on Bitcoin with these ETF flows, right? More than happy to be bullish Bitcoin, but yeah, I think I throws out the number, there's 10x more demand, or 10x, there's 10 years of pent up demand. Like, okay, how do you arrive at? I don't know. You could get into like the specifics of how he arrives at those numbers, but yeah, bullish. If Michael Saylor is ever not bullish on Bitcoin, we got a big problem because he owns a lot of it.
Rob, what are your thoughts? Any thoughts on anything he said there? You know, he talked about not only the pent up demand, but the fact that, hey, this thing is uncorrelated to a lot of things that people have money and that's correlated to, right? And so any takeaways from that little segment there from
I mean, he's just
Mikael?
he's repeating the same thing he always does. It's the apex technology, the world reserve currency. It's the digital gold moves at the speed of light. It's all the same. Nothing new here. But just to I mean, I guess one thing would be him touching on the inflows of the ETF and that with the supply shock demand. And that's what we've been echoing this whole time prior to the ETF going live and even afterwards. I mean, we might not have expected the selling from Grayscale in the first, week, but that has subsided, and yet the inflows are piling in day by day. And it's not slowing down either. And if anything, Wall Street traditional investors are going to catch some kind of FOMO. Maybe not the entire industry, but enough people that have exposure to crypto or that would like exposure to crypto that otherwise could not have gotten a position on it before because it wasn't available in the US markets, not through a traditional Wall Street, now have the opportunity to buy it. And we're seeing these net inflows represent that exactly. And so FOMO is coming. People on Wall Street are going to buy. Man.
I feel it coming. You know what else is coming that's here? Well, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. They are our exclusive IT partner. If you want to maximize your networking, IT, and your cybersecurity so you can focus on making money for your business or making trades on your platform, you're going to want to hit up bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Today is Valentine's Day. I haven't made my Walgreens trip yet.
You are
coming. If you're new here, you're wondering, what is this Walgreens? It's guys made fun of me because one year, last minute, I had to stop and get something chocolate from Walgreens. And,
why are you buying Walgreens chocolate, man?
It was a last minute thing. I told you. Anyways.
What
Hold on. Ashley.
What is this?
The Valentine's Day cow. Like chasing women. We are next to a flower shop, and I went in there one time. Again, last minute, said, "Hey, I haven't bought flowers yet. Can I get some?" I was like, probably $100, $150, $600.
No, I went with you. You said you have anything under $100. On Valentine's Day, you go into a flower shop, a specialty flower shop.
I know.
And you ask if they have anything under $100. Anyways.
Ashley, do you have a Valentine today?
I do not.
She does not have
Did y'all give me flowers?
No.
No.
You're not our Valentine.
Yeah.
Why?
So we do share a dumpster with the flower shop next door. So right now there's plenty of flowers
giving away our secrets, huh?
In the dumpster bag there.
Forrest, what about you, man? What did you do first Valentine's Day with a kid? Anything special you did for the wife? And you don't have to share if you don't feel like it.
No, my wife's actually a part-time florist, so she's got the flowers
Are you serious?
on lockdown. Yeah,
dope, dude.
for sure. She does great floral arrangements. No, with our baby, we'll probably probably do a Waffle House Valentine's Day tonight. Just easier than going to like a fancy restaurant. And then we may take a little short trip next week. We'll see.
Cool.
Still
Short trip
planning
to
that out.
Vegas or?
No, that's a longer flight. Just a little short.
We're still
local
waiting,
trip.
bro. We're still waiting. We also have this. If you're alone, fear not, as you can have fun in the metaverse on Valentine's Day. So recent statistics from Drive Research found that while 52% of consumers will celebrate Valentine's Day, 3 in 10 Americans will go into credit card debt this year from Valentine's Day spending. Guys, buy your lady some Bitcoin or buy your man some Bitcoin. If you're a lady and you're watching the show, buy your man some Bitcoin. If you're a man watching the show and you have a lady, buy her some Bitcoin. And if you're a whatever, you get it. You get what I'm trying to get at here, right? Speaking of funny business, and did you guys see this?
I did, yeah.
From the Central Bank of New Zealand. Guys, they're starting to say the quiet part out loud, but it's okay because we have crypto.
The fiscal challenges, etc., that are there. So very focused on being cost effective. We actually fund ourselves and then work out what dividend is needed to pay. So we kind of it's a great business to be in, central banking. You print money and people believe it, and
leave it at that. Print money and people believe it. That is what you are holding in
You
your.
also said it's a great business to be in, central bank.
Yeah, great business. To be in.
If imagine if you were here in Vegas and you worked at the cashier cage, and on your breaks you went and played table games, and you also just you could dip into the poker chip stack at any time you wanted to. Grab more chips, go play. Right? It's like God mode. You work at a central bank and you pay yourself and you print money. Kind of like God mode, right? Except for you're just stealing from your citizens.
I love God. Forrest, anything you want to add to that before I move on?
I mean, no, it's pretty straightforward. Like it's pretty crazy. Whenever they print money, they're just stealing from, everyone else's purchasing power who's holding fiat currency. It's why, crypto is as large of an industry as it is today.
That's why you need Bitcoin, right, Forrest?
Only going higher from here.
That's why we need Bitcoin,
What's up?
right? That's why we need Bitcoin, right, Forrest? Don't. Forrest, I don't have time for this today, okay?
Yeah. Bitcoin's great.
Thank you. I love you, man. All right. One person I don't love is Gary Gensler. Man, Forrest, you had a tweet. You said he's right here. We're going to have a lot to talk about. Let's watch this clip of Mr. Gensler on CNBC and our new champion of Bitcoin. What's the anchor's name here? Joe something. Anyways, let's watch the exchange here. It's interesting.
By regulation.
Is that the problem, though? It's not necessarily Bitcoin, the underlying asset, but more the froth and the potential for fraudsters to use it that has been
This is a field, Becky, that's been rife with fraud and manipulation. And look at all the bankruptcies. And you've had on this set people talking about those various bankruptcies. And it's not just one entity. It's entity after entity after entity. And then investors are just lining up in the bankruptcy court.
What do you make of, this goes to the underlying piece of this, you've heard Jamie Dimon say that he would close it down, that basically Bitcoin you've seen the comments, right? It's not just that he closed it down, that he would say it's used by drug dealers and used by folks who are doing all sorts of illicit and terrible things. There's very few things that trade today that people talk about like that. Now, there are obviously frauds and things that happen, but maybe not like this.
Like the dollar is like 100 times more.
Well, I know that's your perspective, but I'm just I'm curious how you think about that.
That's true, though. This is how much has been money laundered with Bitcoin. This is how much. This is Bitcoin. This is dollar.
Yes, Joe. Look, here's the Jamie Dimon quote. The only true use case for it is for criminals, drug traffickers, money laundering, and tax avoidance. I know, but we have a guest.
That's his opinion.
We have a guest, Joe. What is your opinion? And what is your opinion that we have something trading on the exchange for the public that has this type of use case, at least as described by the president of one of the largest financial institutions in the country?
It's the leading market share in ransomware, and that's publicly known.
Right.
It's the token of choice for ransomware. Joe, if I can say, the U.S. dollar, the euro, the yen, you have the whole society using it as a medium of exchange. We buy our cups of coffee, as I see here. Right. We get paid in dollars or yen or euro. And you have a whole central bank and support for one currency generally per economic region. That we don't have here. So there is a very real economic difference.
Which is part of the attraction, since it's decentralized, and you can't have a profligate central bank.
It's not that decentralized, Joe.
Well, I know you're saying because of the ETFs, but
now I want to stop it right here real quick. Said it's not that decentralized, and I believe, Forrest, this is what you reposted and said he's got a point here. What do you mean?
Yeah. So, couple things. First, like, I know I'm not a Gary Gensler fan. Trust me, I am very pro crypto. I am not a Gary Gensler fan, but a couple of points that he does hammer home quite often that for whatever reason the crypto community just disagrees with, and I think he's actually right on, is the crypto space. Like, it is objectively full of fraud and hucksters. There's so many. Like, I know a person in my community, unfortunately, got drained for $20,000 this past week. Horrible feeling.
I agree.
FTX, Celsius, which tons of fraud in the space. 3 Arrows Capital, right? There's no doubt about it. There is a lot of fraud in the space. So that point I will absolutely give to him. And I think it's something that I think the SEC should be doing a better job of helping with. And I think they've done a terrible job on it. As far as like saying it's not that decentralized, right? For me, decentralization, like I've said before, it does not mean bullish or bearish for me. I am super bullish on Bitcoin. But when he says it's not that decentralized, there's 2 points. One is, yeah, we're seeing a concentration of capital under singular custodians, which could then be potentially used to manipulate the price. The more Bitcoin, if you have a ton of gold or a ton of Bitcoin or a ton of any asset, you could potentially manipulate the price, or have a larger stake in the network, and potentially it could be we could see these large asset managers like BlackRock buy up all the stakes in the miners, right? And then try to fork Bitcoin, right? And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it is a risk. And I'm not saying that Bitcoin's not decentralized. Decentralization is a spectrum. But if we were really trying to go for max decentralization and max immutability and really protect yourselves against the government, we wouldn't be talking about Bitcoin. We'd be having conversations about Monero and Zcash and privacy coins. It is my belief that if the government wants to take your Bitcoin, in 99.9% of cases, they can take your Bitcoin. In fact, they do take people's Bitcoin. They seize it if like you've done any sort of illegal activity. There's a guy who got, he was in Athens, Georgia, the guy that had like $2 billion worth of Bitcoin seized from that he like stole from the Silk Road. Like, they can steal your Bitcoin. They can go and subpoena the exchanges, see, oh, you KYC'd here. You bought this Bitcoin on this date. You own this Bitcoin. We see it hasn't been transferred since. We can, get a warrant, go into your house and take your Bitcoin. They seize Bitcoin all the time. In fact, they're going to be auctioning off or have a history of auctioning off a lot of Bitcoin. If you really you can't, for me, like, maximum decentralization has a privacy aspect. And that's why, in my belief, you see the government and these large institutions happily adopting Bitcoin because it is transparent. The point he makes about Bitcoin and ransomware is kind of dumb because Bitcoin's transparent. It's a transparent network, right? There's a reason, in my opinion, as far as the suppression of decentralized technology, there's a reason that we're seeing it actively suppressed with Monero and privacy coins. Monero just got delisted from Binance because they wouldn't comply with some of the standards for tracking transactions. I get the point for me, but for me personally, like, people think like, oh, he doesn't think Bitcoin's that decentralized. Is it more decentralized than just about everything else in crypto? Yes. Does that mean I'm bearish on Bitcoin? Not at all. Like, I'm not bearish. Like, the ETF flows are so bullish. I'm extremely bullish on crypto, extremely pro crypto. I just think people think it's like the holy grail of decentralization. And it's like Monero sitting right there next to it. Like, it doesn't even have a privacy element, which I think is a very key core component to decentralization. So, kind of a rant there, but a lot of people will disagree with me. So be it. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. I don't get my feelings hurt if people don't agree with me. It's just my thoughts.
Well, that's the point of conversation, right? Is the idea is for everyone to not be thinking the same, right? You want to have a well-rounded viewpoint of certain things. You do bring up some good points. I agree. There's a lot of fraud in the space. I don't think anyone watching can say to the contrary. I do believe, like, what truly is the most decentralized, like air. That's the most decentralized thing ever. So I agree with you. It's on a spectrum, and it is something where, like, I want people to ascertain something. Having Bitcoin in a spot ETF and on a centralized exchange is not the same as custody your own Bitcoin. If you want to de-risk from inflation, from government, from whatever the case may be, you have to custody your own crypto. As Forrest mentioned, Can you see a scenario where BlackRock has 5, 6, 10% of the total Bitcoin supply in their ETF? And then all of a sudden the government comes in and says, you know what, we're shutting this thing down. Pay everyone back in dollars. We're taking the Bitcoin. Yes, they can. But if you're custodying it yourself, that really can't happen. Seed phrases, they're very easy to lose. You know what I'm saying? So, Rob, you know what? Actually, Rob, before I go to you, let me finish this video. There's about a minute left. I think it gets really good.
Really, it is.
It's
for
not
DeFi
that
and everything.
decentralized because look how finance tends towards centralization since antiquity.
Right.
So what do we have? We have a handful of 3 to 6 core so-called crypto
I understand, but the asset itself, the way that the distributed ledger, right? That's how the ledger. And
now, how many times do you have people on this show that say, "I want to invest in something because how the books and records are kept"? I mean, Joe, really? It's just an accounting ledger. It's
a ledger that everyone has, and can't be double counted. It's almost immutable. That's why people think it has inherent value.
So you trust it more than an Oracle database, or you trust it more than
I trust it more than a lot of the Bitcoin bulls say they trust it a lot more than the central bank that enables the fiscal authorities to spend money to the tune of $33 trillion.
That's everybody's investment.
That co-host definitely has Bitcoin, right, Robin?
Bro, it's he's saying that all it is a ledger. Yeah, it's an immutable ledger. That's the beauty of it. Its simplicity is exactly why it is what it is, right? It's a reason that it is so much better than the opposition, because at its core value, at its most simplistic form, it's simply an immutable ledger. And why does that really matter? Well, the ledger that we currently use with the fiat system, you can borrow from it, right? You can write more in there. You can say, hey, there's $2 trillion worth of currency floating around in circulation in the United States. You know what? Let's print another 2 trillion. Let's make it 4 trillion and have that circulate. And then see what that does to the fiscal policy, to the money here, right? We see the inflation, we see the price of rent doubling every 4 or 5 years now. I mean, I know it was catapulted because of COVID and the supply shock, but also, you know what else was catapulted? The printing. And so we're going to get back in the situation. It's not going to change. And over the next 10 years, we're going to slowly print more and more money to fulfill our debts and our interest payments. And we're going to debase our money. And that at its core is done by manipulating the ledger.
Hey, say that
the US dollar essentially, is an amalgamation of different ledgers from the central banks and the regular banks, the Fed, the Treasury Department. And what they do is they just keep adding zeros to how much money we have. It doesn't even need to be printed. We always talk about, this stupid ass saying, printer go burr. You don't even need to. All you got to do is printer go smack on a key. Just add zeros. And that's how simple it is. That's how simple it is to steal from the everyday individuals. And so at its most simplest form, blockchain and immutable ledger, it might not sound that great. And Gary Gensler, you're correct. All it is a ledger, but it's a ledger you can't tap. You can't mess with. You can't tamper.
You can't print more of.
You can't print more of. And every other ledger that we have, every other means of accounting has been adulterated and changed. And so for that reason, this is the first time in human history we've had a fiat currency with Bitcoin, a currency that isn't manipulated, right? Now you can manipulate the volume, the trading, volatility. You can manipulate the price, but you can't manipulate the underlying mechanics of it. And then, yeah, man, I just, and then what else? There was one other part in there,
ransomware.
Yeah, that ransomware stuff. It's
getting old, bro.
And so what's funny is that in the beginning he said it's such a finite percentage of Bitcoin is used as ransomware in comparison to the dollar, right? And then the CNN host, what's his name again?
Joe Kernan.
Yeah, he had so then he had said, hey, that's your perspective. It's not a perspective, it's fact. the percentage of illegal, illicit activities, money laundering, it's a fact that majority of it's done in dollars.
Cold hard cash, baby.
And maybe as of lately, there are ransomware attackers that are asking for Bitcoin. Hey, that's because the money system operates outside of the U.S. SWIFT system, right? And you can still track and trace it. We can send somebody that does a hacker ransomware in Bitcoin, but hey, good luck cashing that thing out. Good luck changing it into fiat, because every point of movement is tracked and traced, even in a Tumblr service.
Oh, it's a little harder in there, but
it is harder, but not impossible.
I do want to give a shout out to Pet Brent. Kicked off the show by gifting 5 memberships. So big thank you. If you're a proud recipient of said gifted membership, you do get early access to all of our videos, and you unlock all the cool emojis.
And then also, if you are new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We got Dieter, Sobi Toby, BCAF, Brandon E, Faha, Fohai. Also, we got Chief Iggy, and then Duquan. So to all of you.
Hi. What?
Hola! I'm just, we got international viewers, so I'm just trying to get it all right.
We're gonna jump into the markets here. But first, Forrest, I want your opinion here. You're a very good trader, right? And I don't say that facetiously. I don't say that because you're my friend. I say it because I mean it. Because you have a proven track record. But this guy, the capo of crypto, said, now I'm sure you guys know who this is. This man has been bearish on Bitcoin since it's pretty much bottomed out at 16K. So this is his thesis now. I was bullish short term from 40K because there were possibilities of reaching 50K. It just got hit. Now what? I'm expecting a rejection from 50K while alts keep pumping, forming a divergence. After that, the entire market should reverse. And here's this cool little chart here. Forrest, are you seeing something similar on your Bitcoin chart? What are your thoughts on Mr. Capo here? And what are you seeing? Feel free to pull up a Bitcoin chart as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's share my screen here. Look, I'm bullish. I mean, so the bearish case is basically you're betting on essentially the collapse of the stock market or some sort of major black swan event for Bitcoin to go down. So like maybe if Coinbase, their custodian, they lost their private keys for all the Bitcoin that they're holding for BlackRock, which is
that would be a good thing, right?
Risk when it comes to, yeah. Maybe in the long term it would lock up some supply, but in the short term it would be pretty horrendous. It'd be a bloodbath, I think. Yeah, and then like the other thing is like maybe you're betting on the economy to tank, which I think is a solid bet in the long term, like in the next year or two. But I don't think we're there yet. I'm actually very, very bullish on Bitcoin. We've got a similar pattern to what we saw last market cycle, right, where you had this expanding volatility, right, and then we back tested that kind of expanding cone as support, and then we just took off and we ripped the 42K with nonstop, right? And that was kind of along the timeline of taking out our previous all-time high. Now we've seen a somewhat similar pattern with just a deviation from the FTX collapse, right? But we've seen this kind of expanding volatility over time, back tested it, and we're bouncing. And the case for crypto, being bullish on crypto right now and being bullish on Bitcoin is, I think, much stronger than the bear case. I think the bear case, if we see price do something like he was talking about, if we start getting back down below 50K, right, and we start, holding that level as resistance, right, and we get back in this range and we're starting to, then I'll flip bearish for as long as I need to flip bearish. I'll reassess the data, reassess the ETF flows. Absolutely. I'm not locked into one direction or another. I'm more than happy to change my outlook on Bitcoin and trade accordingly. But as of right now, I am pretty darn bullish on crypto, predominantly because there's $500 or $600 million per day in structural inflows to Bitcoin. That is just extreme, like fighting that, like being a bear right now and just trying to fight the narrative of, we've got the Bitcoin, halving coming up, which is, a bullish narrative. More for me, the Bitcoin halving for me it's less about the structural reduction in supply and more about how the how it just makes news and brings more and more people into the crypto ecosystem and gets people bullish on Bitcoin. I think it's more of a psychological factor. But then the Bitcoin ETF, like I just like the bear case for Bitcoin right now is so difficult to make when there's 500 million plus in daily inflows. And I think this is the point where everyone's like, you might be worried, you might be up a lot and you're like, do I take profits? I think for me personally, this is the point where you just kind of, hold on to your seatbelt a little bit. You don't do too much and you just let the market take us higher. There's a very decent chance, in my opinion, that we see some really big acceleration here. I'm sure there will be corrections along the way at some point, but for me, we're not even at 60K yet. We're not even at all-time highs yet. I think we could see some very rapid acceleration with these ETF inflows and really start to see Bitcoin reprice. And look, in the grand scheme of things, if we look at the high time frame here, these huge repricings in Bitcoin, they're over pretty quick, 180 days. Right. And from the actual breakout, right, if you didn't catch it at the COVID lows, right, from the actual breakout and holding support there to the next local top, it was like 45 days. So when Bitcoin moves, it usually moves it's like very, very violently and very, very quickly. And you want to kind of just, be exposed to crypto for the duration of that move. You don't want to sell too soon, especially if we're going into another cycle here. So I think it's very bullish, and I see this going higher. I'll flip the script if we start making bearish patterns, even on the shorter term time frame. The last thing I'll say is like we're seeing this expanding volatility, which again is usually bullish, right? This starts breaking up here. We could definitely see some violent moves out of Bitcoin.
I also want to show a BTC chart. I'm on the 3-day here on Bitcoin. So I got a few things going on. I want to start here on the top. So I am using a few of the Lux Algo indicators, the signals and overlays, which is what you see on the candle chart. So this is kind of similar to, I would say, to a Bollinger Band, as far as it has an upper band, lower band, and kind of like a midline. And it kind of tells you where the trend is. So we obviously are in a green trend. Volatility, as you can see with these bands expanding, volatility is taken up, and we did just get a buy signal. And of course, I want to say buy signal, whether it's on this indicator or any indicator, you shouldn't just blindly buy because it flashes a buy signal. It should be more used as a confirmation to tell you where it's going. Also, we are seeing our first green candle signifying a potential strong uptrend on the 3-day chart. So that is a positive. Also, looking at the matrix oscillator, we are seeing money flow continue to be green. We are seeing on the RSI down here, Bitcoin is in overbought territory. But as we know, in bull markets, this thing can stay overbought for quite a while. You do get some retracements. Yesterday I tweeted this, or I tweeted this today, but I was looking at the Stacks chart, right? And I was like, look, I think Stacks is going to reverse here. This is when Bitcoin was around 49.8, 50K. So I entered a short position on Stacks, right? My entry price was $2.13. Then I saw Bitcoin just like jump from 50.2 to 51K. I'm like, all right, this is not going to happen. So I cut my losses short, down 18%. I want to show this one because, you're not going to win every single trade. You're going to lose some, but it's important to know when to cut your trade short and when to admit that you were wrong. And in this case, we were wrong. So we exited at $2.16. And if we take a look at where Stacks is today, right now, it's at $2.44. So we would have gotten liquidated for our entire position, but instead we cut those losses short, down 18%. So you can make money shorting in a bull market, but it's extremely difficult. And you have to do, in my opinion, you have to set limit orders because these things move fast. And if it hits and you got to do take profit and stop losses, if you're going short, in my opinion, long is a different story because even if we get a 15, 20% retrace, as long as your liquidation point is beneath a strong support level, you should be fine. As in a bull market, you do see those levels get gobbled up fairly quickly. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I see on Bitcoin. As far as the rest of the markets here, ETH is coming in at $2,600 or $2,758. I did mention at the top of the show, we do have some ETH news we're going to share with you guys. Solana, $116. This is up 20% over the last 7 days. XRP, you know that meme with that stick guy that's holding a stick? poking whatever's on the floor saying, come on, do something. Like me and XRP. Come on, do something, man. So we do have an open position on XRP. We are currently in the green 35 or 32.5% on a 20x XRP position. Forrest, I know we talked about an XRP chart last Friday. Are you seeing anything different now? Like, what is going on, bro? What's just I feel like the rest of the markets have pumped. And XRP is just like, hey, it's me.
Yeah, let me reshare my screen here. Look, I think like, you could try to time something with XRP. For me, I'm just like, there's so many other good things to be trading right now. And I think that's how the market feels. It's just like there's, until like some, news comes out for XRP, it's like that doesn't have any narrative right now. And you look at the XRP versus Bitcoin chart, right? We looked at an XRP USD chart last time, and on the huge time frames, like on the weekly and like monthly time frames, XRP could potentially be a good investment. But for me personally, I'm just looking at this huge bleed off versus Bitcoin, and you've got altcoins right now that are strongly trending up even against Bitcoin. For me, like I don't want to hold something that's just going to be underperforming even Bitcoin. Like my whole goal is to outperform Bitcoin. Like if you can't outperform Bitcoin, then just hold Bitcoin. Right. That's a lot of people's strategies. Amen. I feel like I can outperform Bitcoin pretty consistently, but like I don't look at this chart and see any reason to that XRP is going to be outperforming Bitcoin anytime soon. Now we may get some bounces here, and if some new news comes along and we start to see, you'll look at previous market cycles, it was just trending horrendously down against Bitcoin, and it launched into outer space. So maybe that'll happen for XRP, but for me personally, like I don't want to tie up my money into something that I'm just like hoping just randomly launches into outer space. Unless I can, like, for me, I wait or I try to identify a specific catalyst that could cause that to happen. And if that's not present, then I'm happy to miss that opportunity for something else. But yeah, I think the important thing here is it's just trending downwards against Bitcoin right now. And the thing for a reversal, I will say, the thing you do want to pay attention to is on some of the larger timeframes is look for some bullish divergences in RSI, like some buyers eventually coming in. Right now, they're just not. So if this chart against Bitcoin gets a little bit more constructive and starts making some higher lows, then I'm much more happy to take a peek at XRP for some longs.
Forrest, I think you said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I think you said something very important. I'm happy to not take this trade for a better trade, or you said something along those lines. And I think that's really important, right? That's why you never marry your bags. I see Jesse Oro in the chat said, ditched XRP for Link at $11. I'm not saying XRP. I have a bag of XRP. I think Robin does too. But being able to understand, like, hey, like Forrest said, if you can't beat Bitcoin, then just have your money in Bitcoin, right? The whole point of alts is to get more money in return than if you were to just park it in Bitcoin and not sell it. So it's important to do that. And then one last chart I want to take a look at is the Stacks chart here on the 4-hour. Just a massive run up on Stacks. It did meet some resistance right at that $2.45 level. What kind of retrace are we going to get? We did get a sell signal printed on the matrix oscillator, but we did get the strong buy signal on the signals and overlays. And well, if you would have gotten in there, you would have gotten 40% gains. Volume's looking real nice on Stacks. We are trading towards the upper band of this dynamic support and resistance band level, so to say. And of course, volatility is pretty high on STX. So always remember, book profits, especially if you're trading. Obviously, if you're trading, no one ever went broke booking profits. Robin, would you like to give some love to the chat?
If you're new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We got Northwest Crypto here, and that's all. That's actually and Schlonik. So to all of you, hola, welcome to Sin City Crypto. I just want to say, man, I'm really bullish on Stacks. I do think if you were watching yesterday, I prefaced that Bitcoin was on the way to 60K. Which, think about this. Previous all-time high was 67, 68K, depends on which exchange you're on. But just shy of 70,000, so 60 plus K. And would you be surprised if within the next, say, 3 weeks, we were at $60,000 on Bitcoin?
No.
Okay. What about you, Forrest? I mean, kind of charts aside, you wouldn't be floored if Bitcoin hits 60K, right? I mean, it's a typical move for it.
I think it could move pretty violently here. I'm not going to call for 60K, but I think it could hit 60K, and it wouldn't be too surprising.
Yeah, I think it's something that it's in the norm for Bitcoin. It's not some dramatic move that requires some big bullish catalyst or event, and I think just naturally at the way that the market is trading, the inflows that are coming into these ETFs, basically there's just not enough Bitcoin going around, and Coinbase is scooping up as much Bitcoin as they can, and they're obviously dipping into the order books as of lately. And with that said, you gotta say, like, at what point does this thing slow down? We're heading into a bull market. Typically we're eclipsing all-time highs post halving, but I think that it happens before. And so where I'm getting at is that 60K, not that far-fetched to be there within a few weeks. I think we're going to get there. I know you guys are a little more plugged into the chart. I just kind of go off of sentiment and the timing of the market, where we're at in the cycle. I think that with the supply shock ETFs, 60K, we're coming. How fast does it come? I do think within the next 3 weeks we'll be there. And if you're at 60K, that's literally the previous all-time highs.
Almost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's 68K, and sure, we cross 60K, and we'll consolidate there for a little while. But the fact of the matter is, we're crossing all-time highs very soon. Now, there could be a market correction, and in every previous cycle, there has been a run up prior to the halving, and then you would get a correction.
I did a poll. Will Bitcoin get to 70K by March? 56% of you said yes. So I think that's definitely possible as well. We are going to move into our next segment, which is Rate My Portfolio. And today's Rate My Portfolio segment is brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Now, we know tax season is here, and if you're an avid trader, it can get very confusing. And so what I'd recommend is find someone that has experience in the crypto space, that knows how to log and do all the cost basis and minimize your tax liability. We've had this gentleman, the one who owns Decrypted.tax, on this show. His name is Ernest. Great guy, knows his stuff. We talked to him about working out a deal for our Sin City crypto community. So if you use the link that's pinned to the top of the comment or in the description, you can save 25% on your tax services if you use Decrypted.tax. So big shout out to them. And let's take a look at the portfolio here. So this was from a couple weeks ago. This is a submission from a couple weeks ago. So some of the numbers have changed, right? This 54K portfolio is now roughly 67K. Their goal is still to get to $500,000. And here is what the portfolio looks like. I'll kind of zoom out here. So this is a portfolio anchored in Cardano. Almost 20% is in Cardano, followed by 13.4% in Avalanche. You have 9.2% in Render, 7.2% in Mina Protocol, Quant 6.1%, and then Bitcoin and Singularity Net coming in at 5.1%. And that 32% in others includes, in this order, Algorand, Chainlink, The Graph, Polygon Matic, XRP, Filecoin. This was actually incorrect. It's not Metaplex. It is Maple Finance, Optimism, Polkadot, and Fetch.ai. Forrest, I'll ask you first. $500,000, $67,000 portfolio. This is what it looks like. What would you rate it? What do you like? What do you not like?
What are their goals?
$500,000. So a little less than a 10x. They're at 65K portfolio.
So like there's nothing alarmingly bad in this portfolio really at all. Like I think there's some of those smaller positions maybe you could, say, for whatever, make a case for or against them, whatever. I have like the same problem I had with the last week's portfolio, which I rated low, which was actually, again, like solid portfolio, but I rated it really low because I just didn't think it was in line with, like, I think they wanted a 20x or something, and or a 10x. I think, like, to get this to $500,000, like, everything on average is going to have, like, if you want to realize $500,000 out of this, like actually pull it out of the market, you're going to have to get more than a 10x on average than everything. Like, so, even that 5% Bitcoin position, you're going to have to get more than a 10x on that. So I think $500,000 is like, with this portfolio, you're really, really cutting it close and banking on the idea of like we are getting a full bull market cycle where Bitcoin goes north of 100K and altcoins all 10x, 20x. I think there's no guarantee of that happening. Yeah, it's a solid portfolio. I feel bad. Last week I rated 1.5. I shouldn't have rated it that low. I'll go 5. It's a good portfolio, but it's just the goals. Like if you adjusted your goals down to like 300K, I'd probably rank it like an 8 or a 9.
Real quick,
it'd be great.
This portfolio is anchored in Cardano. You think Cardano can get to over $7.50?
In a strong,
that's about a 15x.
In a strong bull market, yeah. I think in a strong bull market, it's possible. People love Cardano. When retail money really hits the tape and starts buying, and like Cardano's a very popular coin. Cardano's it's making ground. I'm not going to sit and talk about in a bull market for me, like the technicals matter so much less. Cardano outperformed everything last market cycle, and it was vaporware. It had nothing, right? There was no smart contracts on Cardano, and it outperformed everything. So like everyone gets caught up in decentralization. It's all narrative. All it is narrative, and I know that people love Cardano. So if the overall market cap of the crypto asset space is going up drastically and we're in a bull market, I'm not going to sit and bet against Cardano doing a 10, 15x. I think it absolutely could. Is it my first choice of an asset? No, but I think it's going to perform well in a bull market. Yeah, absolutely. I just think, $500,000 from this portfolio, you may need to get into some, lower cap stuff, riskier stuff on one end, and then maybe balance that out. But yeah, I mean, it's solid. It's solid. I give it a 6. I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to give it a 6.
Forrest gives it a 6, and it's not about being mean. It's about giving constructive criticism, right? That's why. And A, that's part of the reason why we keep people anonymous. And 2, people know, hey, we're going to be honest. Rob, he's at a 6. What are you at?
I would say 7. I like the thesis is on point. I just think you're going to fall way short of your target, right? 100.
What's your least favorite in here?
What was it? $1 million portfolio?
No. This is a 60K portfolio. He wants to get to $500,000.
$500,000.
So almost a 10x.
I like it. So his thesis is to omit Bitcoin, right? And he still has a 5% holding there, but to omit Bitcoin and to ride the wave with the alts, and he's heavily placing his bets on. I mean, Avalanche is pretty retail friendly, right? At least I know what Cardano is, so he's really just thinking that there's going to be a massive surge in the price compared to like last bull market. But the thing is you're just assuming that all of these layer ones are going to be back to where they were. They're all going to perform amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that half of these layer ones aren't going to be here. Or they're gonna fade, right? You can look at here. I actually have a historical chart here, so take a look. Nope,
that's a cool chart, man.
Oh, yeah, never mind. So hold on, I'll pull it up here 1 second. But we have a historical chart when it comes to Bitcoin. So if you go back to 2018, you can see like what are some of the tokens that were dominant then, and well, not so much anymore. It should be good now. All right. So you can see here, this is in January. I just picked a random week. So January 21st of 2018. You can see that Bitcoin was at 11,000. So you now received a 5x on Bitcoin, just holding it from 2018. And and this was past. This is post the last the bull top, right? So Bitcoin had eclipsed 20,000. So this was on the way down. This wasn't even the all-time highs. You've gotten 5x from Bitcoin return. Ethereum 2.5x, right? Ethereum here is at $1,000. But now here's where things start to get interesting, right? Taking a look at the altcoins, you're going to assume that, as you said, Cardano is going to be big play, Avalanche, and then there was a lot of other layer ones that you had in your portfolio.
Algorand.
Algorand, XRP, $1.38. That's down 70%. Bitcoin Cash, 1,700. That is massively down from where it was. This is number 4 in the coin market cap. Cardano is at 60 cents, even higher than it was right now. Litecoin at 190. And so if you take a look at Litecoin, this thing is slipping fast. Where's Litecoin? $69 now. Then you have NIM. That thing is dead. NEOS dead. EOS dead.
EOS was a disaster.
EOS dead. IOTA dead. You have Stellar Lumens here at 40 cents. Where is Stellar Lumens at 11 cents? This is down 80%. So that's dead. Dash dead. Monero dead compared to where it was, number 13. Tron, this one held strong, but it's not. Where's Tron at? Tron is 12 cents. Historically, Tron is at, so Tron has been a 2x. So, and then Icon dead, Bitcoin Gold dead, Quantum dead, ETH Classic dead, VeChain. So out of the top 20 tokens just 4 years ago or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, out of all of these tokens, the only thing you would have gotten a return on buying in 2018 would have been Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tron. Let that sink in. Top 20 tokens in 2018, only 3 of them would have netted you a positive return. And so if you think that all those altcoins are going to come back, you're mistaken. Now, I do believe that some of them will stand the test of time. I am a believer in Cardano. I do think that it'll come back. I think it'll hold strong. But I just wanted to show you that if you blindly assume that these layer ones are going to come back, I don't mean to crap on a portfolio. I would just say go more upside risk, right? You had that, pull the portfolio up again, David. You had, I think that 30%, you have Algorand, Link, Matic, Dot, Fetch. Those need to be things that we don't easily recognize. So go down, scroll down there. So that others, that's what's you're listed in blue. So right there, honestly, if you want to hit a home run, you should have some very small projects that most nobody ever heard of. Put that in your other, and then that'll probably, if you do the adequate amount of research, you diversify, you pick a couple in each kind of category, one DeFi, one AI, one maybe NFT ecosystem.
Robin's got a point. You might be wondering, well, how do I find all these? May I suggest Sistine.ai Research Hub? So my biggest gain this year has been a project from the Sistine AI Research Hub. And I'm sure a lot of people in here and a lot of people in Discord have had exposure to the same thing, and you guys are making a lot of money too. So big shout out. And then I want to share this real quick. So talked about Ethereum spot ETF. So this major asset management firm applied for a spot ETF, and that is none other than Franklin Templeton. They said, quote, the trading prices of many digital assets, including Ether, have experienced extreme volatility in recent periods and may continue to do so. Extreme volatility in the future, including further declines in the trading price of Ether, could have a material adverse effect on the value of the shares, and the shares could lose all or substantially all of their value. Okay, so this is kind of like their disclaimer here. Hey, we were applying for this, but just know it's very risky. Real quick, Robin, you still in the camp that we're getting an ETF by May?
Yep.
Forrest, are you in the camp that we're getting an Ethereum ETF by May?
Summertime, yeah, probably by May, June, July, yeah, sometime. I think it's May. If that's the deadline, then yeah.
Deadline, I think, is in March, April, May. Yes, May. And then,
then
I just know that
it'll be approved.
The Bloomberg analyst teams, Seifert and the other guy's name,
Eric Balkunas.
They've put it at over 50%. I think they said 60 or 70, and so very similar because they threw out numbers around 70% when Bitcoin was a ways out from being approved, and then as it kept getting closer, they kept upping the percentage, and next thing you know, they were at 95%. And so it seems on track to have the same kind of support, at least from the analysts. And so for that reason, I think it's going to get approved. I don't know, man. And I just, someone yesterday in the chat, I had mentioned, I don't think that you're going to see that downside pressure selling from the conversion of the Grayscale Trust for Ethereum when it goes live. And somebody said, Rob, you're wrong or whatever, which is fine. I could very well be wrong. I just look at it from Grayscale had the largest Bitcoin wallet behind Satoshi, right? The largest wallet of Bitcoin hit the markets. You unlock that wallet essentially. And then you're trying to balance the price to average market price. Now, Ethereum's Ethereum's Grayscale Trust, if the ETF goes live, that wallet is minute compared to the market share that Bitcoin had from Grayscale. So even if they do liquidate, say, majority of the wallet in the same way that they did on Bitcoin, the sell pressure would be a lot more subdued compared to Bitcoin for the simple fact that wallet dwarfs in size and percentage.
Add in deflationary on Ethereum, so ETH gets burned as the transactions tick up,
dude. And then all of
staking
those transactions.
Staking is over 25% now. So 25% of all Ether in circulation is currently being staked. A lot of it is.
It's a perfect storm. I mean, you're gonna have a massive amount of demand hitting the Ethereum ecosystem. It becomes deflationary with higher transactions and throughput, and we've seen it become deflationary before. And on top of that, you add use case and utility. I mean, how many people on Wall Street are gonna do the research on Ethereum and say, hey, you know what, this is pretty revolutionary. I remember when I first started researching smart contracts, it was kind of like, wow, man, that fixes so many things with the current system. Not even just money, just there's a lot of there's a lot of things where you can remove third-party bias and just simply say, hey, like sports betting, for example. Like it's so simple. Hey, score for this game goes over this number, this person gets money. Score over this under this amount goes the other direction. Like, why do we need an intermediary, right?
We don't.
Yeah, exactly. You just literally write a smart contract. You put the money in there. I put $100 in. You put $100 in. You say the score is 40 over under. If it's over 40, money goes to you, goes right to your wallet address. If it's under 40, it goes to me. At its most simplest form, that smart contract is something that we've never had before. You have what we have right now is a casino, Caesars or MGM or whoever it is, taking 5 to 10% off top. I think the standard's 10%. So 10%. So instead of me getting $200, I get $180. That's $20. I mean, how much more efficient would it be to just write a contract on a code and just completely circumvent a third party?
We talk about getting a lot, with a portfolio. If you want a 10x, probably gonna have to get a 15 to 20x. And like I mentioned earlier, finding those projects that you're not going to get rug pulled on. Of course, anything can happen. Takes a lot of time and research. And so if you don't have that time yourself, I recommend leveraging someone else's research. And so that's why I have the Sistine.ai research hub pinned to the top of the comments. If you have this product, you would have already made your money back by 20, 30 fold. And then we just got another one in the inbox today. I'm excited to read that when I get off the show. So big shout out to Forrest and everything he does. And so big shout out there. Also, our afternoon video today is on the Near DeFi ecosystem. A couple of projects that you might not have heard about that you can potentially make some money with. So look out for that. If you're a member, you do get early access first. Also, big shout out to our channel sponsors, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business grow, visit bluewiretech.com. And big thank you to Decrypted.tax as well. All those links, guys, and I said this in a tweet. Whenever we bring on sponsors or partners, our first question always is, what can you do for our community? And that is why we consistently bring you great deals, percentage off, things that you can use to help yourself make money and keep a lot of your money. So big shout out to all of our sponsors. Forrest, before we sign off, anything last little piece of comment you want to make before we sign off?
I just appreciate the kind words about the product, and bullish on you guys as usual. You guys are crushing it. Onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards.
Awesome.
Robin?
Also, I do want to give a little love to the chat. We have a few new faces here. We got Crypto Nate, Cigar, Todd Lomax, Craig Wayne, JC, Darth Mike, Shekin, Not Stirred, Hector, Justin Irwin, Crypto Trends. Also, we got Kuzakan and Cigar Lalani.
Cigar. Yeah. When are we gonna find someone? Can we hire someone to just say the name?
I think also happy Valentine's Day to all the muchachas out there. So if you are a lady and happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day there, Sunshine.
Thank you.
There you go.
So sweet to me.
What
But
if,
I still don't have no flowers.
Well, I think you're getting gravy.
Gravy.
Yeah.
You can thank yourself for that.
Didn't Jimmy send you a pack of gravy?
He did.
He did. He sent me 2.
Well, there you go. There's your Valentine's Day present. Guys, that'll do it for today's show.
My Valentine's is my mama.
No one cares about your Valentine.
That is so sweet.
Ashley, we all know it's his bird. Anyway,
That's true.
Ashley. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Big shout out to Forrest for joining us. He'll be back on Friday. Come back tomorrow for another great show. We appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. Watch out for that near video coming up in about 10 minutes. See you tomorrow. Peace.
Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.